Hello, everyone. Do you have arachnophobia? Do you have a crippling fear of spiders that you really wish you could get rid of, that it hampers you? Do you think in your mind that there is no possibly non-scary spider that you could ever see? Well, welcome to tonight's Extravaganza, where I will cure your arachnophobia. And how will I cure your arachnophobia? 2 words: jumping spiders. Meet the jumping spider. She's the fashionista of Spiderland. And why? Because jumping spiders come in so many colors, shapes, and patterns, it's not funny. And when I say a lot, I mean nearly 6,000 species. A lot. There's a jumping spider for everyone. This one has big eyelashes. Here's an edgy, gothic-looking one for all of the emos in my audience. Here's one with a large, pretty fan on its back that it loves to wave around. 1 jumping spider, 2 jumping spider, red jumping spider, blue jumping spider, and another blue jumping spider, and another blue jumping spider, and another blue jumping spider.
Grr, look at me, I'm so scary. I'm pretending to be a redback spider. Grr, look at me, I'm so scary, pretending to be a scorpion.
Here's one that's pretending to be an ant, and another one that's pretending to be an ant. They do this a lot, by the way, except for this little guy that's having some sort of identity crisis. All hail the ant scorpion. This one likes to wear its regal collar and sneer down at the peasants beneath it. This one needs an eyelash brush like ASAP. Here's one that's seen some stuff and done worse. Here's one with a big mouth. Here's one that looks like a pile of dead leaves. Here's one that looks like a sheep? Okay, a literal drag queen. Like, this is just overkill. Oh, it's beautiful. This one has a question for the rest of the class. It's probably about why this guy looks insane. Turn around, bright eyes. Hey guys, look, it's a street sweeper. This one's mine. Don't ask me what I'm doing with it. It's for me. He's purple and he's gold and he kind of looks like a crab. Here's one that's green. If you don't like it, here's another one that's green. Only this time it's walked out of a Guns N' Roses song. Who turned on the lights? Hey, if being an efficient predator doesn't work out for you, then you should really consider a modeling career. Squashed head. So beautiful and majestic. Welcome to tonight's Jumping Spider Extravaganza. Tonight, I will be discussing what jumping spiders are, their order, their behavior, and we'll go over some unique individual species and their behaviors, so you can really get a feel for the diverse and unique arachnids that these are. And by the end of this, maybe your arachnophobia will be cured. After all, jumping spiders, they're just cute, okay? Jumping spiders are arachnids that are in the spider family Salticidae. There are nearly 6,000 individual species inside 700 genera, and this makes them the largest group of spiders by far. 13% of all spiders on Earth are jumping spiders with this number. And there are several things that make them this successful. Their vision is really good. They have some of the best vision among any arthropod. They use this vision for hunting, identification of prey, courtship, everything. Their book lungs and tracheal system are also incredibly well developed. They're very versatile and they can move for long periods of time without getting exhausted. Their eyes are incredible. They allow the spider to see stereoscopic color. They can see colors that us humans can't. They are really, really good at what they do. These spiders can also have spider-on-human interaction. They can recognize faces. They will recognize you when you, rescue them or pick them up or handle them. They will track you with their eyes, and they're not inclined to bite. They are intelligent enough to reason that you're not going to hurt them. Here's one that I myself actually found. I found her in my room, and so I didn't want to kill her, so I coaxed her into getting into this little plastic Tupperware container, took her outside, and she seems very curious about me. You can see all these pictures of her, like, tilting her head, trying to figure me out or whatever. She nearly jumped onto the lens of my phone. They'll do that when they're curious, but they won't bite you. She ran out into the garden again, and she was happy to be set free. And so you can recognize all jumping spiders with their eye arrangement. That's the biggest giveaway. They all have 4 pairs of eyes, and they have these anterior eyes, median anterior eyes, that are relatively large. And I describe them as being mounted like binoculars. They're like 2 forward-facing anterior median eyes. Most jumping spider species are tiny, like very small. Some will fit on your fingertip. And some, like maybe the larger ones, will grow to maybe be about, I don't know, they'll be able to fit comfortably on your palm or on your wrist. But they're still very tiny. But they're surprisingly popular pets. Like, really popular pets. People make all sorts of accessories for them, little hideaway habitats, little enclosures and things. If you just search jumping spider enclosures on Amazon, you will get just tons of little accessories and terrariums and just, stuff to deck it out. And it's just because they're actually the easiest for beginner pet owners. It's actually the easiest pet for you to own. So if you want to get started on pet ownership, jumping spider is the way to go. They're not just easy, they're also like incredibly cheap. These enclosures, you could pick up an enclosure for as little as $10. Most of the accessories are in the $10 ranges. And you can just start owning, jumping spiders for really cheap. It isn't even that expensive to get jumping spiders imported because there's over 6,000 species of them. So you could buy jumping spiders off of the spider market for pretty cheap. So jumping spider, consider it for a pet option. Itsy Bitsy Friends, it's a website I will always recommend to people who want to get started with spider ownership because they never catch any of their spiders wild. They raise them from egg sac up, and they might be a little bit on the pricier side for that reason, but it's still only like, $40 for an adult spider, and spiderlings might be a bit cheaper. Now, if you do want cheaper, I can always recommend Morph Market, where you do have to be a bit more careful with who you're buying from, because I will never condone live caught spiders, but you can find sellers who are selling ones that they've raised, and they are really cheap sometimes. 15, 25. I've seen spiders pop up on there for as little as 10. So if you do want to get started in spider ownership, you have some options. And I just found this. Apparently, this is how cheap they are. They are so cheap that you can buy like a freaking mystery box of like a real spider. So you don't know which jumping spider you're getting. For $10, mystery spider. I don't know, it just seems funny to me. Yeah, I don't recommend you buy one for this much though. Holy crap. So by this point, you've heard me throw around the words jumping spider a lot. And you're probably wondering, well, why do they call that? What does that mean? Jumping spiders have a unique ability where they can compress their blood by scrunching up their body, and they jump. And they can jump high and they can jump far. They can jump 50 times the length of their body into the air. They do this to explore, and they can do this amazingly well. They'll use their abdomen to anchor themselves to the ground like a line of silk, so that even if they miss, they'll kind of like a bungee, they'll just hang down and they'll be able to reel themselves back up and try again. So, they don't die and plummet to their death and have a tragic, horrible ending. They also use this for hunting, where they'll pounce on top of their prey and use the momentum that they gain from flying towards their prey to stab their fangs into them so that way they can inject the venom. They eat much like you would expect with other spiders. Their usage of silk, however, is fairly limited. They don't wrap up their prey. They just kind of hold it in their mouth and use those pedipalps to assist with eating. They don't really make webs. They just kind of prowl around. They hunt. They're active hunters. They're a very active predator. So they're always on the move. Those hairs that look like eyelashes are actually sensors. So that's how they help perceive their world. And because they are so tiny, like really small, most of them have developed very unique ways of not being caught by predators, not being seen, augmentations for hunting, and some have even just went even further for augmentations for finding a mate. We'll talk about some of these species here. We'll start with Portia. Now, Portia is a genus of jumping spiders that have about 20 or so species, and they're not really broadly distributed. They're sporadically located with some populations in China, Myanmar, Indonesia, the Philippines, and like parts of India and Sri Lanka on one side, and like the very tips of Australia. And then on the other place where they seem to be found is like a lot of like Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, and the DRC. These are really intelligent spiders, even for jumping spiders that are intelligent enough already. Portia are masters of mimicry. They will often mimic piles of dead leaves and sticks with their really unique, like, their feet and legs are very stick-like. If you look at their legs, very stick-like. So unlike other jumping spiders that are roaming predators, Portia are ambush hunters. They'll lie in hiding under piles of leaves and prey on unsuspecting things that come by. And they've, in particular, developed a taste for other spiders. They're really good at hunting other spiders, especially web builders, because they know how to sort of tightrope walk on the little threads and not get caught. Some of their behaviors that they do that are particularly devious is that they'll kick and flail their legs a bit while they're hiding underneath the leaves. And you would think, well, that's sort of self-defeating to move on purpose when you're supposed to be hiding. Well, they're mimicking a struggling insect that's trapped under the leaves so that other spiders that are roaming hunters would, maybe come try to lift up the leaf pile to figure out what's going on, only for them to be met with the glaring fangs of Portia, who would then just nom. These jerks also take it one step further, and the females will mimic the mating cries of other male spiders. So, yeah, you come over to this pile of leaves expecting to find your new husband or whatever, only for nom. But what Portia is probably the coolest thing they'll do is when they find a spider that has a web, when they're like on the hunt, they'll find another web-owning spider. And so what they'll do is they'll slowly walk onto the web, making little jerky, kind of somewhat shaky movements to mimic prey that's trapped. And they're preying on the fact that most web-building spiders, have horrid eyesight. Most of them have eyes that just can't see for crap. If you've ever wondered why a black widow bites people so much, it's because they don't even know that it's you they're biting. That's like their first response. Their eyesight is infamously awful, which is really embarrassing, to just be honest. Like, imagine this. You have 8 eyes that are pretty much all facing forward, and yet you can't see for crap. Loser!
So the Chad Portia comes in with all of its eyes that can see everything and will just mimic the jerky movements of a bug caught in the spider's web. So the spider, thinking, oh boy, food, runs over to realize, oh no. And the Portia is like, oh yay, dinner.
And they actually learn as they age through different types of spiders they target. And they will actually experiment around and try to figure out what methods work best for different kinds of spiders. Some have been observed to behave differently when they're hunting more venomous species. For instance, they won't do the jerky movement, and they'll instead approach from the spider's blind spot. Or if it's like something, say, less venomous, they will, do the jerky movement. So they'll experiment around and try to figure out what works best to catch what prey.
I mean, it's not a bad approach for something that looks like a dead pile of leaves, but there's more mimicry in the jumping spider world than just that. As I mentioned earlier, multiple species mimic ants. This is another genus of jumping spiders called Mimorachni, and they are known for their incredible mimicry of ants. Some of them from a distance, you wouldn't even be able to tell that these are spiders, especially looking from above. They were first described by W.S. McLeay in 1839, and this is one of those genuses that, as of 2026, is still underneath review. It's undergone many changes, and it's really just kind of a mess.
Like, they just decided to yeet a whole bunch of genera off a cliff in 2016, like Halicius and Pancreasta. And then they also got rid of Emertonius, even though it was like part of Mimorachni for like 30 years. But then in 2018, they changed their mind and they brought it back. And it's a mess. It's a disaster. The species numbers also messed up because, like, one part, Wikipedia will tell you that it's 80 described species and several undescribed species in Asia. But if you literally scroll down on the same page, it just says it's 188. So I don't know who's lying. So as their name suggests, ant mimic jumping spiders will use a form of locomotor mimicry to mimic ants. They do this because maybe to avoid getting eaten by ants, possibly because many birds in regions where they're found don't prey on ants, and other large spiders don't really like preying on ants in particular. So it's a defensive mechanism, but they could also be used to prey on ants themselves.
Some of these displays of mimicry are really impressive. Usually they use their head to mimic the thorax of a bug, and they'll use their fangs to mimic the head. Their front pairs of chelicerae. This specimen right here, if you squint at this specimen long enough, it looks like an ant. That's actually its pedipalps that it's using to form that head. A whole lot of them look like the ants in the region that they're found in. Here's a side-by-side comparison between an ant and the spider that's mimicking it. And they don't just try to look like ants. They'll act like ants. They'll use their front twomost legs and wave them around as if they're antennae, and they'll try to make more jolty, flitty movements like the way ants do, where they constantly move around and are flicking their antenna like they're feeling everything. Most interestingly, the males on some species can actually lack venom, so that's really unusual among spiders. There is a caveat to this exceptional mimicry, though, and it's that the ant-mimicking jumping spiders are actually not all that good at jumping, because trying to maintain that ant shape while jumping is not very easy. So they instead run. They will run very fast, kind of like ants do. You'll find, however, that mimicry goes far and wide among jumping spiders, and ants are far from the only thing they are mimicking. Some species of jumping spiders mimic more dangerous animals like wasps and scorpions. Rene flavicomens is the single known species of wasp mimic jumping spider. They are mostly found in Asian regions such as India, China, Thailand, and Sri Lanka, as well as Nepal, Bhutan, and Vietnam. It's a Batesian style mimicry, mostly relying on their coloration to protect themselves from predators who would avoid wasps. And yes, it looks like a crab. They generally prefer sunny, dry conditions for hunting small insects. That's primarily what they prey on. They are intelligent, curious spiders, like jumping spiders are,
and they are generally a bit more skittish. They mostly prey on small insects. So unlike Porsche over here, the spider killing machine, these guys just kind of like to mind their own business. Now, these scorpion mimic jumping spiders are a lot more interesting. These guys mimic scorpions with their front legs and kind of pose them as if they're pincers, and they'll raise their abdomen straight up as if it's the scorpion's tail. And I guess if you're as blind as a black widow, then that'll look like a scorpion to you. They'll display the same typical curious, cutesy behaviors that all jumping spiders do. So they're not actual scorpions, they're just pretending. And I mean, that's a fairly efficient defense. Some of these can look very scorpion-like in the manner that they'll attack and whatnot. They'll try to pose themselves to be as scorpion-esque as possible. One particular species mimics a very obscure arachnid in of itself. Pseudoscorpions. Pseudoscorpions are very obscure arachnids. Not a lot of people know about them, but they're really cool, and honestly, they deserve a video of their own on this channel one day. Now, you're probably wondering, what the heck is this thing? I've never seen it before in my entire life. Well, you wouldn't. They're very, very small. Like, they will ride on houseflies to transport themselves around. That's how small we're talking. You wouldn't find them unless you were looking for them. You would have to set out to look for them to find them. Chelophryoides is a jumping spider genus that was first described by Frederick Octavius Picard Cambridge in 1901. Good Lord, that's a name. As of currently, it only includes 3 species found in Guatemala, Panama, and the United States. This lines up with the notable distribution of larger species of pseudoscorpion, so these jumping spiders will mimic these larger species of pseudoscorpion. While usually tiny, pseudoscorpions pack a mean punch. Their venom is located in their pincers, so this is what the jumping spiders are mimicking. But what if I were to tell you there's a jumping spider species that mimics weevils? Cocrochestes is a jumping spider genus that is native to Australia and New Guinea. These guys are when you get to the point where the distinction between spider and insect become blurry, because these don't look anything like any other spider you would have looked at. Their reasons for mimicking beetles are purely defensive. Most other spiders are not going to bother attacking something with this heavy of armor. And they go extremely far with it. They'll even walk in a beetle-like manner as opposed to a spider-like one, and exhibit beetle-like behavior. They were first described by Tamarin Thorell in 1881. There are 40 species, almost all of which have been found in Papua New Guinea, with a few in Australia, and one brand new one discovered in New Britain. All right, now we're on to the really cute stuff that's gonna get all of the girls in my audience swooning. Meet Ovibolus vidae, the sheep jumping spider. This species, found in South Africa, looks like a cotton ball. Why? We have no idea. There's all kinds of theories that it helps it blend in with lacewing larvae, or that it's for camouflaging into flowers. We don't know. What we do know, though, is that it looks adorable, and you are a monster if you kill one of them. It is notable for being in its own genus and is named after macrophotographer Vidya van der Walt, who discovered it. They are also quite popular among the locals and tourists. Its description is also remarkably recent, having been first described by G.R. Azarkina and C.R. Haddad in 2020. It is entirely endemic to South Africa. It has not been found anywhere else. It is apparently quite common there, however, as it is nowhere near being on any endangered list. Now we move on to this. This is beautiful. Meet the elusive Cosmophasis mycariodes, a rare beauty native only to northern Australia. They are often found near green tree ant nests and have a diet of pinhead cockroaches and flies. These spiders are truly beautiful. They look almost fake, but they are 100% real. It is unknown why their coloration is so lavish and bright, but there are theories ranging from it helping them hunt in the flowers, being ambush hunters, or to attract mates. These are one of the jumping spiders that people do keep as pets, and they are considered pretty exotic, so prepare to fork out a hefty penny for them. They truly are a beautiful sight, and if you hurt one of them, well, I'm sorry, but I can't be your friend. There are ways to distinguish between the females and the males. The males notably lack yellow on their coloration. Good luck trying to find it in all the swirl of color. They are also notably cannibalistic, with some instances of this species eating other members of same species being observed in the wild. Me and my big mouth. Meet Hensia mitrata, otherwise known as the long-jawed jumping spider. Oh yeah, we're nowhere near done. This is a single species found in the United States, Canada, and the Bahamas. And they are what would happen if a spider got together with a praying mantis, the two of them had a child, and then they just abandoned it out in the cold somewhere. This species is known for their pretty impressive pair of front chelicerae that, rather than striking downwards like most other spiders, actually open up sideways, horizontally, and act like the raptorial claws on a mantis, the raptorial forelimbs, where they're used to pin the prey and also envenomate them. They are by no means the only spider species with incredibly long chelicerae. Heck, they're not even the only jumping spider species that are like this. Another jumping spider species, Bagheera prospera, has these incredibly long fangs that honestly make it look stupid. But there is one thing about one Bagheera prospera in particular, Bagheera kiplingi, that is incredibly unique, and it's that it eats plants. It's a herbivorous spider. Yes, you've heard that right. This thing with this gigantic long fangs eats plants. They're found mostly in Central America, like throughout Central America, and have been found in particular in Mexico, Guatemala, and Costa Rica, and they're the only spider known to have a completely herbivorous diet, making them very, very unusual. And in case you're wondering, yes, the name Bagheera was named after the Black Panther from the Jungle Book. There's actually 4 jumping spider genera named after Rudyard Kipling's characters, including Aclea, Mesua, and Nagina, all of whom were named by the two same guys. They were named by George and Elizabeth Peckham in 1889.
The funniest thing about these spiders is that when they were first discovered in 1889, only the males were initially discovered, which I guess they just assumed females didn't exist until they were described
100 years later by some other poor fool named Wayne Madison. How these spiders eat is they feed on something called Beltian bodies, which are unique little sort of bulbs that grow from the leaves of acacia trees. While they are omnivorous, they get these Belton bodies from exploiting a symbiotic relationship that ants have with these trees. They'll steal the Belton bodies from the ants defending them. Sometimes when they're really hungry, they'll also carry off ant larvae, but 90% of their diet are these Belton bodies, and then most of the rest of it is just nectar. All of these species' success hinge on the same thing: their amazing eyesight. So jumping spider eyes are pretty amazing. They have 2 primary sets of eyes. 6 of these eyes provide them 360-degree coverage for detecting motion and refining their world. This is how they see it. This is how they look around, observe prey, detect motion, and can view detail and also gauge distance. There are a few blind spots at the very back and a few of their sides, but this is nothing major and will be made up for by their other pairs of eyes. Now, their interior median eyes are where the magic happens. These relatively large eyes allow them to see in stereoscopic color in an area about the size of my thumb. Their other 6 eyes are also really good at seeing detail. They are on par with the best of insect eyes. They surpass that of dragonflies. These
big eyes are laid out kind of the way binoculars are. There are two lenses, one at the very front and one at the very back, with a tube of fluid running through the middle. The frontal pair of lenses perceive the outside world, funneling the image through the fluid-filled tube so that the second lens will then magnify what is being seen. Doing this allows the spider to increase its ability to see detail that is detected by the retina that sits directly below the second lens. With this vision, they can see better than dogs, cats, elephants, and nearly as good as the sharp-sighted pigeon. While the other eyes see in black and white, the colored eyes act like a spotlight, where they will essentially put forward colored information about what's going on over the black and white overlay. This allows them to paint and perceive their world actively as they're exploring it, filling in the gaps with more detail. Jumping spider eyes have been the subject of constant study from scientists because they break the animal kingdom norm of bigger eyes being better at seeing. Jumping spiders actually have smaller eyes that are more complex, and they are more complex than animals that are more than double, even giants in comparison to them in size. And this fine detail allows them to hunt different things and hunt more accurately. Let's get back to our exploring of jumping spider species with maybe one that's a bit more metal for any of you goths in the audience. Everarachna calicivora, otherwise known as the vampire jumping spider, is a species with a very, very small distribution. It is found only around Lake Victoria in Kenya and nowhere else. It earned its name because it indirectly desires the blood of vertebrates, but it does not bite you or get the blood of any other animal directly at all. It preys on blood-filled mosquitoes. They actually are beneficial to the location, as the mosquitoes in particular they prey on is Anopheles, the one that is infamous for spreading malaria. A standout to this species is their mating rituals, which are some of the most metal things you could ever read about. Because these spiders consume so much blood, they tend to particularly go for blood-filled mosquitoes. There is a huge rate of cannibalism during mating rituals among these two species. Oddly enough, the rate at which males kill females is greater than the rate that females kill males. So this is the male spider's ultimate revenge fantasy. This leads to female spiders just avoiding the larger males altogether. They mostly go for males who are smaller, and the males, oddly enough, go for virgins. And they're real jerks about it too, these males are. A very common interaction between the two of sexual cannibalism is where the spider, the male, will go into his typical courtship love display. So the female gets closer, only for him to suddenly eat her. Yes, you heard that right. They will actively use their displays of love to hunt girls. The most metal thing that these males do, though, however, is that to attract females, when they do want females to come close, is they'll wear blood like it's cologne. They'll wear the blood of the mosquitoes that they kill as some sort of cologne. Most jumping spider mating rituals are not violent like this at all, so this is unusual. They are harmless to people, though, like all jumping spiders are, and they have a symbiotic relationship with plants in the area and help keep malaria down around Lake Victoria. It is not the only species of jumping spider that has become highly specialized. Anasatis canosus is also known as the twin-flagged jumping spider. They get their name from their twin white pedipalps that kind of resemble flags when they wave them around really fast, a behavior that they actually uniquely do during courtship rituals. This specialized but also opportunistic hunter is mostly found in the southeastern US and Mexico. They can be found on man-made fences and the sides of buildings, as well as crawling around under leaf litter, hunting for smaller bugs opportunistically. opportunistically. While they will opportunistically hunt smaller insects, this spider in particular has developed a unique hunting method that allows it to specialize in hunting ants. This is a unique hunting tactic with a choreographed attack. The spider will first align its abdomen and prosoma so that it is directly facing the ant. It will then rapidly strafe in an arc so the ant turns to directly face the spider. Once facing it, the spider will pounce and bite the ant right below the head. There's two target areas they go for: the dorsal side of the head to thorax connection, or the dorsal side of the thorax to abdomen connection. This puts the ant in a unique position where its head, with its dangerous mandibles, is beyond the range of striking at the spider. It's been observed that they more so prefer going for the thorax to abdomen connection on ants that are capable of stinging, which also renders their stinger incapable of touching the spider. This is strange because they only use this choreographed tactic on ants. When hunting anything else opportunistically, they use the same stalk and pounce technique that other jumping spiders do use. They're not the only jumping spiders that are found near human habitation, however. This is the spider in your house, otherwise known as the tan jumping spider, is a species of jumping spider that is likely in your home right now, bearing the scientific name Platycryptis undatus, also known as the familiar jumping spider, can be found in all of North America, from the United States, Mexico, Canada, and even parts of Central America. This is the same little guy that I caught wandering around inside of my house. They have very thin bodies that allow them to squeeze themselves in between the plates of bark on trees. Unfortunately, this comes with the downside that they sometimes get stuck inside of your house. They don't want to be there. They'd rather be patrolling on the walls outside your home and on the trees in your backyard. But sometimes their thin bodies allow them to slip inside of your home, and they don't mean to be there. Though they usually make a single silken shelter that they hide in, they display a odd communal behavior where, in particularly dire situations like bad weather, as many as 50 spiders will all cram themselves into one shelter. Don't kill these guys if they wind up in your home. They're not supposed to be there. They actually don't want to be there, and they get stuck. So you can help them out with a little Tupperware container like I did, or if you're confident, you can actually just straight up handle them. They're not inclined to bite. They'll only bite if they're pinched or squeezed. You can identify them by their eyes, their tan markings, and a chevron pattern on their abdomen. They are great spiders to keep around in your garden, as they will actually get rid of bugs that will bother you. And they are very docile around people. Some jumping spiders, however, use their unique eyes to be very, very specialized in what they do. Heliocapensis termitophagus is also known as the termite-eating jumping spider. It is only found in the North Cape and the Free State provinces of South Africa. It is one of the many protected species in the Benfontein Nature Reserve, as well as the Urfenis Dam Nature Reserve and the Toussaint de Rivière Nature Reserve, being first discovered in 2002. This spider is a termitovore, meaning it only eats termites, but its behavior is unique from other spiders that are also termitovores. It doesn't actively explore active termite mounds. It has only been found on abandoned termite mounds, hunting down stragglers who didn't escape in time when their society collapsed and the queen died from some other war that happened. They dig holes in the soil and tunnel into said termite mounds to hunt down termites still stuck inside. And they are only found on these mounds. They haven't been found anywhere else, meaning you don't really find these spiders unless you're setting out to look for them. Another species, Heliophanes, was separate for a long time until being unified with Heliocapensis in 2024. Not all jumping spiders use their successful adaptations to hunt specialized prey. Some use their specialized adaptations to survive in otherwise hostile environments. Eulenus desertus is one of these species, being first described in 1991 by Polish arachnologist Wanda Leslowska, whose name you will hear again, by the way. It was found thriving in the hostile Mongolian desert. Most interestingly, it was first discovered by a female specimen that was found in Gerontai in 1975 near a military base of all places.
In order to survive in these hostile desert environments, the species will burrow underneath the sand and make silken nests. It only lives in semi-arid environments, not full-on deserts, so you're not going to find this anywhere near the Sahara or anything like that. But speaking of hostile environments, welcome to the Himalayas!
Meet Euphris omnisuperstis, otherwise known as the Himalayan jumping spider, being found on the Himalayan mountain range at extreme altitudes. And when I say extreme, I mean the highest peak in the world, extreme. This spider was found at the peak of Mount Everest. It is one of the only things that lives on the peak of Everest. Yet it manages to survive in an environment that is much too harsh for us vertebrates. The fact that even it stays alive up there is a miracle, where food is very scarce, so it stays alive through a very specialized diet. This spider, whose name literally means standing above everything, is found at altitudes 6,700 meters high, or 22,000 feet high.
I can imagine it just perches on this mountain like a gosh dang throne while it looks down on all of us chud vertebrates. In 1924, a naturalist, Richard Hingston, was on a British expedition to Mount Everest. In 1925, he had reported that spiders had been observed living in rocky areas all around the mountain face during the climb. The belief for the longest period of time about spiders that lived off of cliff faces and where they were too high above any plant material to grow was that they ate each other for food, or so Hingston believed.
No matter how self-defeating this notion seemed, the British thought that this, quite frankly, was stupid. No one believed that it was possible that these spiders were permanent residents. Everybody thought that they had just been blown there by the wind and they were stuck. An idea that's even more stupid if you really think about it, because one, this spider has not been found anywhere else, and two, this is a spider we're talking about and they don't have wings. In 1954, Lawrence W. Swan joined an American expedition to Everest where he rediscovered the jumping spiders that Hingston had first observed. Swan showed up everybody and proved that these spiders were in fact residents of Everest, because tons of them had amassed around their Everest base. The species found were actually observed to be the same species found by T.G. Longstaff in 1922, years before Hingston's expedition. So who discovered these spiders is really up in the air. The first specimen was collected at 5,500 meters, or 18,000 feet high. Most collected specimens are in very, very poor condition. The state of Hingston specimens are said to be absolutely appalling. The key to their survival is they prey on flying insects like spring flies and others that are carried up to Everest by the updrafts of wind. And because the insects are forced to fly so low, this actually puts them within range of the jumping spiders leaping up and grabbing them out of the air. They make little silken holes in the ground that they burrow down into to hide in during freezing temperatures. From loner spider, we go to neighborhood spider. Pseudicius athleta is another species of jumping spider native to Kenya and Uganda. This species is very unique because it is only found in piles of dead bones. It was first discovered in 2011 by Polish arachnologist Wanda Leslowska, a personal hero of mine, as she discovered many of the jumping spiders that we now know in the world. They're unique because they live communally. All of the spiders live in different nests all in the same pile of bones and have this little interwoven community where they will actually go and seek out other community members for courtship and mating. They live in these bone piles to prey on other bugs that would come by to eat the decaying flesh. They also choose these bone piles because they provide adequate cover from the harsh elements. Oddly enough, these spiders believe in segregation, as only males or only females are located in each community. So maybe Weslowska should have been asking herself,
When did these spiders learn to be sexist?
The males live with the immature females until they come of age, and at that point, I'm sorry, ma'am, it's time for you to find a new home. This is also perfect if you want to make a gay spider character, because two males have also been seen to embrace each other upon encountering one another. Once they mate, they both each go back to their individual nests within the communities. So now anytime that someone tries to argue with you about the logistics of long-distance relationships, you can easily shut them down by bringing up the mere fact that this spider exists.
No, I promise you, this isn't just Portia again. This is a different jumping spider. Just bear with me. Remember how I said that jumping spiders don't build webs? Well, I kinda lied. Meet Spartaeanae. This is a family of jumping spiders with 29 genera, and they're really unusual for the fact that they are the only jumping spiders that make webs.
And you're probably looking at this being like, Agent, that's not a web, that's a mess. Well, I didn't say they were good at it, did I? Like, what were you expecting, an orb weaver? With their primitive, underdeveloped silk spinning, these spiders are the definition of throwing crap at the wall and see what sticks. Literally. Make no mistakes, they're not winning any art competition anytime soon with this, but I mean, it does its job well for what it's supposed to do. I guess. They do sacrifice the behaviors and the body shape of a lot of other jumping spiders. In particular, foregoing the ability to really jump all that well in favor of making these webs that would cause anybody with severe OCD to want to throw themselves off a cliff. Look, up in that tree. It's a worm. It's a snake. No, wait, it's a caterpillar?
Meet Urubolus carlae, a species that we only know from one male described in 2018 that is entirely endemic to Hong Kong.
It was named in honor of Eric Carle, the author of the book The Very Hungry Caterpillar, which I assume literally anyone who has ever been a child has read. They mimic lichen moth caterpillars, probably as a defense from predators who would know better to avoid the caterpillar's venomous spines. The one specimen we know of was collected from a railing at Sheko Country Park in Hong Kong in 2018.
Not a lot of information about this spider exists. It is brand new, so we are still actively discovering it. But it is hypothesized that perhaps more of these exist worldwide and are just found at the top of tree canopies. While we are on the topic of new discoveries, an entirely new genus was discovered in New Zealand called Aurea. This is a discovery so recent that this genus doesn't even have a Wikipedia article yet. And there's a grand total of like 4 photos, so bear with me.
The genus is made of 12 species that were discovered in New Zealand's Alpine Zone, an unusually frigid, cold area of New Zealand, in 2024, and were first described in October of 2025, last year at the time of uploading. They live in the unusually frigid area of New Zealand, which is otherwise a tropical place, but near the very mountaintops, this spider lives. They use their unusual black and white and gray color schemes to blend into the rocky outcropping and hide under pebbles. This is unusual because spiders don't normally really try to blend into rocks. Usually they try to blend into twigs, sticks, tree trunks, or leaf litter, but these spiders try to blend into pebbles. This gives them a sort of winter military camouflage look. Despite them living in the zone where they don't have to contend with 24/7 snowpack and being first discovered in an expedition led by 3 biologists from New Zealand, we don't know anything else about them yet. Another newly discovered species, Calopsis arcavathi, was discovered in southern India and was named after a nearby polluted river to raise awareness for conservation efforts. Though tiny, this jumping spider is an important discovery for spider diversity inside of a largely threatened region of wildlife. Despite this threatened region being a primary concern for environmentalists, this spider manages to survive in the midst of it. Now for some quick fire rounds. The redback jumping spider is native to North America. It can often be confused for looking like the redback spider, but is nowhere near as venomous. The regal jumping spider is commonly kept as pets and are very widespread. They come in 2 colors, being either this white ordered a more black variety. Mopsis mormon is a species of jumping spider that is known for its translucent green color, and also looks like it walked out of a Guns N' Roses song. The cardinal jumper is a red jumping spider variety that often has some unique looking markings on its back and can be found in leaves. The red desert jumping spider is a jumping spider variety with a red abdomen that can be found prowling around in the sandy dunes of desert environments. The red regal jumping spider is a much more exotic version of the normal jumping spider that is considered very expensive on the market. Irua bidenticulata were a species of jumping spider discovered in 2011 in Thailand. They've also been found in Hanin, China, Cambodia, and Assam. They're a beautiful shade of purple and gold, and they look like crabs. Except for the females, who are entirely gold and look like crabs. Paraphodipus fartilis is another jumping spider that is commonly kept in the hobby scene. They are found in a range from Texas to Panama and are known as easy to keep and easy to care for pets. There's sexual dimorphism among the species, with males being black in color and females being white and fluffy and often being compared to bunny rabbits. Caring for them is remarkably simple, as all they need is just a simple enclosure. Tutellina elegans is also known as the thin-spined jumping spider. They can be found throughout North America, with hotspots in the United States and Canada. They are denoted for having iridescent bodies that possibly helps them blend in with predatory beetles such as the tiger beetle. This species displays sexual dimorphism. The females look different than the males. The males have smaller bodies and the females have bigger butts. Salticus senicus is a species of jumping spider that is more commonly known as simply the zebra spider. These spiders are widespread across Europe, North America, and North Asia. They are sunny time hunters that can be found on walls, rocks, and plants. They can be identified by the zebra-like markings on their abdomen and their curiosity and brave behavior when around people. Plexippus placuli is also known as the pan-tropical jumping spider. They can be found in pan-tropical regions worldwide and are beneficial pest control agents that will kill cockroaches and mosquitoes. The orange regal jumping spider is alright, screw this. Let's just move on to the big finale. These are the jumping spiders that get wild. Lysomanes viridis, found in the southeastern US, is also known as the magnolia green. These alien-looking spiders are known for their green, translucent bodies, and believe it or not, are a huge joy to collectors. It seems like their eyes are moving around inside of their head, but this is because they actually have retinas that we can visibly see. Despite looking somewhat terrifying, they're actually playful with people, and they are among the more exotic jumping spiders that people try to own. They'll display all of the jumping spider behaviors that pet jumping spiders display, even in the wild. An example of things that pet jumping spiders do is that they can wear these little water droplets as hats. They'll only do this for a few minutes before they'll inevitably put them down to take a drink. This species is very playful in the wild, and it will bite people out of irritation, but it won't hurt you. Now, most jumping spiders have a mating ritual in which they will thump the ground to drum a pattern of vibrations. They do this while standing outside of the female's den. It's the males that do this. And if they approve of the dance or not, they'll come out and, do the mating thing and get the business over with.
Not every jumping spider does this, though. There are two major exceptions that have some rather unique mating and courtship rituals. Theania bahumensis is one of these species, and is also known as the blue metal jumping spider. They can be found in a range stretching from Myanmar to the island of Sumatra. These spiders have a beautiful metallic blue color scheme and are known for their unique mating rituals that consist of choreographed fights with males, which leads to their other nickname, fighting spiders, a name given to them by locals. These jumping spiders actually make a silken nest by binding a bunch of leaves together with silk. This alone is unusual for jumping spiders, but even more so is the fact that they hold these leaves together by silken rivets. Each of these rivets can take up to an hour to make, and they'll make 10 of them in an elliptical sort of shape. These nests and rivets are built by both sexes and even children. So I guess they have to make sure to teach them the importance of child labor at a young age. They engage in choreographed fights between
two males to fight over a female. Oddly enough, each spider has been observed using a completely different fighting style. 12 have been seen. These three basic moves that they have been seen using are leg raising, where the males will try to raise the legs to try to intimidate their opponent into backing down. Waving or quivering, which is a rapid movement of their legs to try to psych out the opponent. This is the equivalent of a feint in a sword fight. Stancing, in which the spider assumes a series of guard stances and attack positions. They do this to size up their opponent and look for an opening. Dashing and strafing, in which they will rapidly move around to test their opponent's agility, making lunges, strafes, and darting motions. They will interlock their legs and interlock their fangs in a sort of standoff to try to dominate one another. They'll put on war faces to try to intimidate their opponent, and then the most violent one is they'll just simply try to shove them off the leaf. These spiders are usually kept by locals for a sport known as spider fighting, in which they make spiders fight each other. But there is one species of jumping spider that is unique for its very bizarre mating rituals. The females will try to pursue the males to eat them because they're also viable food. But the males of this species do something interesting. They have a special dance. Meet the peacock jumping spider, native to Australia. What this does is it has another special thing they do. Why are they called peacocks? They have special little fans on their backs that they will display to the females. They will dance around with these little fans, wave them back and forth for mating rituals that can sometimes last upwards of 50 minutes. And it is a constant cycle of him trying to impress her, which doesn't always work out. She will constantly try to attack him, and that's why it lasts for so long. But he tries his darndest to not be eaten. They are very small jumping spiders too. They're about the size of a grain of rice. And they will also flare out the frill, the fan on their back, to try to ward off predators as well. So it's a double function adaptation that makes them very unique for survival. If they screw up and don't get the dance right, well, she kills him. So, yeah, it's not easy being a dude in Spiderland. They continually try to keep up the display to impress the female. Like, the dedication to this is amazing. They are as standard as other jumping spiders go, really. But other than their bizarre mating ritual that really makes them special, they are just standard jumping spiders. But their cuteness is unparalleled. Whew! That was a whole lot of jumping spiders for one video. And if you haven't had enough jumping spiders by now, well, then I don't understand you, quite frankly. But if you like and subscribe and want to see more of this, then drop a comment down below, suggest what animals I do next, or even topics in history. I'll cover all sorts of things with this. And like and subscribe, join the Discord, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm the Phantom Agent 44. Peace out.